All right, y'all, we're gonna go up, run up river. I wanna kind of show you. Now, I'm not a pro. I think my first gar fly fishing video was 6 years ago, and I ain't much better now than what I was then, but I've learned a lot. So I'm gonna kind of show you what I do as far as finding them, presenting the fly, working that way. You know, hopefully it'll be beneficial to the two of you that watch this video. But we have a ongoing heat advisory, so it's dangerous heat today, so I don't know how long I can keep the bride out, but she's my good spotter, so we're gonna get after it. Y'all stay tuned. All right, little one right there. Where's the bigs, man? Come on. He don't know he's hooked yet. That one come swimming right at me the whole way. Yeah, I knew. I better get that one back to a reel. Golly, gee whiz. Oh, I love. Wow. Golly. If they turn around and face back at you, try your best to get them to change direction because he's shaking that fly. I guess I could get off the ladder, huh? Get over here. That ain't a bad fish at all. He's on the wrong side of the boat. Get over here. Man, what a run. That was incredible. And you see how good, I mean, he's hooked just perfect because he was facing away from me. All right, give me some extra line. And I mean, that little old toe right there, y'all. That little old toe right there is worth its weight in gold, I'm telling you. All right, y'all, I did a little, just a walkthrough of all the flies that I like to use, or honestly, it's 2 flies. Now I'm on to that stealth bomber with the trailer hook, and then this one. And I don't know, you can call this the gar T, because it's the best one that I have. Yes, that's cheesy, I know, but it works. But anyway, this is what I run with them. Trailer hook tied on there with just 2 lengths of 50 or 60 pound braid. The thing I do, I tie it right to the shank of the hook, just like a popper to dropper setup. That way, when this hook gets jacked up, all I gotta do is cut it off and put a new one on there, because they rarely jack up the fly. The fly is just a rabbit strip with some other type of streamer material just to make a little bulk. I do have eyes on this one. I don't put eyes on all of them, but I do have eyes on this one. Outfit is 9 weight. This is what I like. I've caught them on less, I've caught them on more, but this is just a 9 weight. Matter of fact, the fish I catch in this video, that's the first one on this behemoth reel, so I'm tickled pink with this thing. But what I like to do, when we left the landing this morning, I had one spot in mind. We got there and there was a boat sitting on it. But what you want to do is run up the river or lake, preferably on a calm day, looking way ahead of you for rings where the gar are surfacing. That's how, one, you know they're in that area, you know, and 2, it tends to be in a calmer spot. Like we're on a hydro river that's got dams at both ends, and if they're generating water, it's going to push the fish usually into places that have less current. So look for stump flats, oxbows, big bends in the river that have eddies running down the sides of them, that you know, just look for some way that they have access to deep water, but they can get into calm water and hang. I will go into a hole and blind cast if I know there's gar around, but honestly, that's pure work to me. I prefer to see that fish and then cast to them. That's what I want to do, is sight fish for them. That is the most exciting. That's like stalking deer, you name it. And speaking of stalking deer, you know, when you're shooting deer, you gotta be concerned about your shot on a deer, that it's gonna do exactly what it needs to do. Now, pretend that this is your gar. I like to have, my favorite is if he's sideways, quartering away, or even facing straight away from me is my favorite shot on a fish. Because that jaw is gonna come open as that fly comes by. He's gonna come open and clasp on it. And usually he'll hit between the first hook and the stinger hook. And that's what hooks them on the other side of the mouth. Or they'll grab that first hook, loop, and the stinger hook will come around there and almost cuff them. But I like to have that either facing away, quartering, or sideways, because even sideways, they're gonna launch on it. If that fish turns and faces at me, most of the time they're gonna come up and they're gonna swat it with their bill, just smack it. And honestly, that fish is not very catchable. I'm not saying it's not catchable, I'm just saying it's not very catchable, because they're gonna get it out in the end of their bill where it's very, very tough to hook. I've caught a few like that, but that is a very low percentage fish. So if you can find where you could sneak up and get into them where you're hitting them from the side or even from behind, it's a much higher hookup rate. Quick tip that I missed in the first part of that video. This is what I use for leader. It's just big game 30. You know, 6 foot or so is plenty enough. And it's my favorite. I haven't had a long nose chew through this yet. So good stuff. And the other tip is don't be afraid to change around colors, but if it ain't working, don't be dumb enough to stick there with it. So for whatever reason, the color of the water's a little off today, and black is just doing the trick. It is paying off. I was hard-headed enough to say, let me swap over to a green when I had a black one wrecked, and they followed it. They tried to mash it, but they never did get it done. And I had several follows that didn't turn into a hookup, so we're going back to black. Don't be afraid to change. You know, I use black, white, and green. That's the ones I use the most, but don't be afraid to swap around and see what they like. So another quick tip, you see the sun's bright. The hotter the day, the calmer the day, the more dangerous it is for you to be out here because of heat exhaustion and everything else. It's probably the best day in the world to be chasing gar. We're gonna hit a hole, we're gonna sit and I'm gonna listen because you'll hear them surfacing. Now, if they're surfacing, coming up, doing a single porpoise, they're usually diving straight back down to the bottom, and that's very hard to get where you need to be, when you need to be. If you can put the fly there quickly, it'll work. But if you're not Johnny on the spot, you're in the cheap seats. So I prefer to get them, if they're porpoising 2 or 3 times, they're staying on the surface, or if they're just hanging or cruising. Now that's the most fun gar to catch. But we'll pull up into a spot and look and listen and see what's around. Another tip I can give you, don't wear bright clothes. This is just like stalking fish in shallow creek. Most of these on the surface, y'all are gonna see each other about the same time. So do not wear your bright orange Yak Attack shirt when you're out here chasing gar. This little old ladder has been awesome. Just adding, 12 to 16 inches of visibility makes all the difference in the world, being able to see down, especially if there's any color to the water. The other thing that I do, I turn all my electronics off, and I try not to run the trolling motor that often. I'll try to get upwind if I can, and if not, I'm just drifting through the hole, just because for whatever reason, these fish are real sensitive to sounds. And that's just a solid thing to do. If a boat is coming upriver, or an airplane flying over, a helicopter, a lot of times they'll go down. Give them just a little bit of time and they'll come back up. If you're sitting in the hole where they're the thickest, they're not gonna be happy. They're gonna go down. Just move 30 yards and let them come back up and then chase them again. But that's how I do stuff. This is what I do to catch these things, and I love it. I hope you love it. Release them, because I want to catch them when they get bigger anyway. Hope this helps. Y'all take care.